So these are not small issues at all. And if it is so widespread, it means it is across the board. It's not as if one buyer or one seller or one builder who's a rogue builder who's done something wrong, but largely these are issues prevailing like gray areas where people who are smarter game it for their advantage and leave the rest of them high and dry. So I'm sure Dr. Sudhakar will be listening to all this, and at the state level, there can be certain, you know, steps taken to redress these grievances, which are legitimate grievances of individual home buyers, for which, of course, I'm not the person to sit and work on it, but I certainly will convey this worry which I've heard today across, because there was a time when in Mumbai, when apartments were growing at a very fast pace, these issues used to dominate. But I guess the Maharashtra government, over the period of several years, have little by little and incrementally addressed these issues. That largely apartment buyers don't suffer these fundamental problems which have been voiced here. So I'll assure you that I can certainly convey the angst that exists here and hope that some work can be done by the state government. But at this point, we are only listening to you, especially with an election. It's not for me to give you a word or give you any promise. It is going to have to be gone through by the state units. But from the essence of what you said, anything from our side, from the government of India, I'll go back to see if I can sit with the Urban Development Ministry and, in the light of what I've heard in Bengaluru, see if there are things that central government will have to do. But there are largely state governments which have to do. But I will sit with the Urban Development Ministry and see if there are any legislative or legal or rules-driven reforms that we can do, so that all citizens of India, not just relating to one state, can benefit from this experience that I've heard here in the city. I randomly recollect the issues other than the resident welfare, about how there should be more financial literacy and awareness to be built, and a cursory reference was made to the RBI. RBI is doing extensive financial awareness business, and for people who are staying in far-flung areas where RBI may not be physically present, the National Securities Depositories Center, the one which is holding all stock market basic data and so on, they have also wonderful digital financial literacy programs, which is available for anyone who wants to know what it is. It is graded gradually. You can move from one to another. So, in fact, I was surprised to hear it from a chartered accountant. I would have thought, and that itself raises a question to me, which I need to go and search for answers. If a chartered accountant tells me that financial literacy has to be built, more awareness has to be brought in, and these are the sources which are only the RBI was referred to, the other things have not been mentioned, it tells me that there is a gap between those who are doing it and even a chartered accountant, who I would have thought will be the first source of contact for anyone to go and say, will you please tell me about how I need to know about my finances? Would you please educate me? And the chartered accountant can say, I can, but I'm professionally tied up, but I can suggest two different places from where you can do online courses. So I would tell the RBI, and I would tell the Indian Chartered Accountants Institute also to first of all tell their own members, the various institutions which are promoting financial literacy, and have chartered accountants, much before they get their certification, to recite a list of those institutions which are giving financial literacy, or else they don't get certified. I just find it extremely difficult to gulp this. I find it extremely difficult. You're trained as a chartered accountant and given a certificate to bring in literacy as well as certified authentic accounts. And I don't blame the gentleman who raised that issue, but if that's the case, I fear for chartered accountants' information source. They're self-qualified to certify, but probably even they don't seem to have channels to get information. So I would go back to the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India to say, excuse me, would you please do something about telling your own members what are the sources of financial literacy? And also tell the RBI to write to the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India to say, I'm doing it, would you please recognize me? So, sorry if it sounds a bit tongue-in-cheek, but I'm worried for chartered accountants. So please, let us make sure that you are better informed, and I shall tell both the Institute and the RBI and the NSDC to get to writing to your institutions to say, please copy this and send to each one of your members, so that we fall back on chartered accountants to tell us A, B, C, D sources of financial education for us. There are also universities nowadays who are undertaking financial literacy course as part of their regular curriculum. So that can also help. Other than that, of course, there are specific issues which were largely related to taxation. I take your points. If there's anything that I can do in terms of going back and working out, I'll try to. But there was this one concern saying urban transport, investments are going away when they see our transport. We need to do something about it. Very genuine concern. What is the Bengaluru-Mysuru 6-laning? What is the outer ring road? What are the extra railways which are being provided even for urban circuit traveling? What is the metro? What are the immense flyovers? What is the super fast trains which are coming in? So work is happening. I concede it's not enough, you need lots more. But if we have to catch up with, let's say, some decade which was lost in only corruption, and no fundamental work was done, we'll have to do the catching up all over the country. And if we feel this